Today I'm going to be showing you my full physique transformation after 4 years, going from this to this, losing over 70 pounds of fat, and I'm going to show you how you can achieve similar results in half the time. I'll break down the biggest lessons that I learned, as well as the game-changing shifts in my training and diet that most people who go to the gym never think to try. I'll take you through what didn't work and what did work in order to take me from a fat, shy, insecure gamer to being in a position where I'm more aesthetic, more focused, more happy, and can actually hold eye contact with women for more than half a second. And I went through all kinds of diet fads and exercising routines that you can imagine. But let's start from the beginning. October 24th, 2019. I remember it as clear as day, the amount of pain that I was putting myself through up until that point. The pain of low self-esteem, the pain of insecurity, the pain of being ostracized from social groups due to how fat I was, to a point where I was even bullied for it. So being at such a low point, I figured the only way was up. So I searched on Google and wanted to find any workout app, anything that I could do at home. So I downloaded the app that looked most appealing and started doing 30-minute mini workout on my carpet, literally next to my bed. I also downloaded a running app. Yeah, a fat kid who hated sport, who never ran in his life, never even liked it, started running 3 to 4 times a week. And I remember it was usually 2 to 2.5 miles each time, and I hated it. Something that would take most people 10-20 minutes took me half an hour, sometimes even an hour to complete, because I was so bad and I was pretty heavy and I was just really bad at running. So that was the initial change in my physical activity. But what about diet and nutrition? Well, any change would have been better than nothing, because I came from a place where I was eating frozen food, garlic bread, chips, bagged food, nothing cooked, no protein, to eventually go to a point where I was eating my first steak at the age of 13. Imagine that. 13 years old was the first time I had a proper steak. Fucking dumbass I was. So I started having meat, rice, vegetables, a lot more of these stereotypical healthy foods, and got my foot in the door with exercise, and I lost about 10 kilos. So 22 pounds, not very much. So I basically went from bursting through the seams fat to droopy, deflated fat. I was still pudgy, still didn't really look appealing or attractive, so there was definitely work to be done. And it was midway through 2020 that I started a new diet, the keto diet. And at this point, I was sucked in. A pandemic had just hit. I was stuck at home, meaning I had all the time in the world to prepare healthy meals. And essentially, I learned the philosophy of keto, which is that your fuel source from what you're eating, which is more fat and little to no carbs, will be directed to burning more belly fat. It sounds exciting and I wish I could sell it to you, but unfortunately the logic kind of falls apart, which I'll explain later in this video. Hearing myths like, you can't burn fat while insulin levels are high, I was young and impressionable, so that's what I went with. So for the next 1.5 years, I continued with the keto diet, with my 2 to 3 runs per week and 5 home workouts each week, which, I'll be honest, were essentially like stretching or hot yoga exercises, basically just to get the sweat going. And it was then when I turned 16 that I was finally able to get a gym membership, and after doing home workouts for almost 2 years, I figured it was a good place to get more progress. But there was a problem. Whilst I was in the gym, and I'll explain my training split, which was horrendous, my keto diet kind of fell apart. I was still eating organic, but I was eating more carbs as I craved them more to fuel my workout. But if there's a lot of high fats to go with it, then it's essentially a high carb, high fat, high calorie diet. Not to mention the protein amount was meh, but it was organic, so I didn't really worry about it. But I stopped losing weight, and that was the big issue. At this point, I was over 40 pounds down, and I was somewhat more confident, but I was still uncomfortable taking my shirt off and going to the beach around girls. No matter what, it felt like I just couldn't get anywhere below skinny fat. See, I'd eat relatively well. However, I was drilling myself in the gym with heavy sprints and massive circuits in the gym 6 days a week. Plus, I had a cheat day every single week. Most would say that's a good way to do it. Hammer yourself during the week and reward yourself on the weekends. We all do this in our jobs. Maybe you do it by spending hours on Friday nights playing video games. But I wasn't getting anywhere. And it was right around August 2022 when I stumbled across 2 words that I wish I'd heard a long time ago. And those words were calorie deficit. So I learned from a coach in the trenches on how to properly diet to lose fat as fast as possible. And I finally cracked the code. This was me in September 2022. And in under 6 weeks, this is what I looked like. Over 26 pounds of fat. Gone. 6 weeks. I felt like I cracked Da Vinci's fucking code. I felt like if that bitch from Titanic just jumped off the boat, I could swim in the freaking Arctic water and save her. That's how I freaking felt. And it was the most gratifying, rewarding feeling, knowing that I have what it takes to get lean and get a six-pack. And you do too. So from then on, I went through a 1.5 year long bulk that spanned throughout 2023, where I gained almost up to 100 kilos, which is 220 pounds. Now, let's say that was a bit overboard, and my body definitely didn't like being at that weight. So I ran what is called a mini cut, where I lost over 6 kilos in only 4 weeks, and I was able to get a good amount of fat gone and actually feel comfortable at that body weight. So I was maintaining at around 96 to 97 kilograms up until July of 2024. And from July until October was my first proper cut since the cut from 2 years prior that only was 6 weeks long. I dropped around 15 to 16 kilos. Sometimes I look back at the me from 6 months ago and I'm like, that's not the same guy. And by the end of the 2024 cut, I was the leanest that I've ever been, even leaner than 2 years prior, but I was packing on more muscle. And fast forward to now, this is the physique that I'm maintaining. So when we look back over my goals in fitness, it was initially to lose weight. And then it was to fix being skinny fat. And then it was to get really lean. And then it was to build muscle. And then it was maintaining it. Now on this whole journey, I fell into a few pitfalls that I want to help you steer clear from. Because I want to help you get that dream physique that I know you can achieve. Here's the 3 biggest mistakes I made when starting my fitness journey. Number 1. The home workouts that I was doing was gimmicky and ineffective. Yeah, sure, if you're gonna do home workouts, then do them properly and actually do calisthenics-based workouts where you progressively overload against resistance. Do a heavy emphasis on push-ups, pull-ups if you have a pull-up bar, squats, lunges. And my second big mistake was I waited 2 years until I started working out at the gym. I believe that the sooner you can get in the gym, the better you'll be setting yourself up to make results quicker. If I could go back in time, I would make sure I got my ass in the gym way sooner, as it was my insecurity and shyness that prevented me from taking the leap. And my third biggest mistake was I went to the gym 6 days a week as a beginner with high intensity sprints before weights. It did not make sense. And it does not make sense for you, if you're a beginner, to be hammering yourself 6 days a week with sprints and cardio all mixed in at the same time. You'll be drilling yourself into a hole. Knowing what I know now, I would have followed this program that I have right on the screen that you can screenshot if you are looking for a beginner program. I would have followed that. That would have helped me gain strength and size without even having to spend 2 to 3 hours in the gym sometimes, which is what I was doing. It's not about time spent in the gym, it's about quality of workout. I would have upped my intensity and I would have focused on progressive overload through weight and tension and picked the right compound lifts in a rep range that worked for me. Now what about nutrition? It's actually the most important part of your physique and aesthetic goals. If your training's great, it won't matter unless you reveal the muscle that you've gained through losing the fat. Now, the first biggest mistake I made personally was believing in keto. Keto does not work as a general rule. The way people think of keto does not work. It did not equip me with the right knowledge. It made me demonize carbs whilst forgetting that they helped me the most when it came to performing in the gym. Yes, it's true that while you eat more fat, you burn more fat, but you also store more fat. And in the end, it's the total balance of what you take in and what you burn off that will determine whether you lose weight or not. My second big mistake with nutrition in my fitness journey is that I didn't focus on protein enough, as well as eating double the fat that I needed to. And if I were you, I'd be eating at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or if you're morbidly obese, then 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. So let's say you're starting 230 pounds and you want to be 180 pounds, then make 180 grams of protein per day your goal. And number 3, I'd stop having cheat days. They are what stalled my weight loss for 3 months and believing that I couldn't fix my skinny fat physique. See, the purpose of cheat days is to take all the progress that you made up until Saturday and reset it for Monday. After the Sunday binge, of course. It worsens your relationship with food and puts you in an all or nothing mentality that is not suitable for long-term weight loss. I hope you found value in me going through this 4-year journey, starting from a fat, lonely video game addict to now where I'm 10 times more confident, having experienced intimate relationships and am able to gain instant respect from other men. If you want to make a steep transformation in your fitness journey, then I'd recommend subscribing to the channel for more fat loss and nutrition-based information for young men like yourself and like me. And if this video helped, then please drop a like, leave a comment with any insights you have, or if you're further along the journey, then leave any mistakes that you made that you think anyone who's just starting their journey would benefit from. Leave no more lost potential.